This is Micornus, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. We are continuing dealing with this topic, speaking to pastors, and we are speaking about things that makes pastors to lose real leadership in their own churches. That you find yourself losing your real leadership, and sometimes you are aware, sometimes you become aware a little later, sometimes you totally are aware, but it's just maybe your own personality that actually subjects the ministry to someone else, not yourself. And sometimes those people lead and then misdirect the people to wrong places because they are not called by God. They are not even aware that God has called you to a certain direction that may not be the way to run. And I must really say, when somebody is taking over your ministry, whether you're present or not, they will always mislead the people. They will always lead the people to wrong places. Why? Because they don't know the direction that God called you towards for this particular ministry. So it's very important then that the original visionary be the one who's leading. And this maybe will help us just to address the fact that there are some ministers in churches, maybe assistant pastors, associate pastors as well, that tend to complain about the senior pastor not giving me a platform and the senior pastor not developing us and so on. I want to just to bring that in perspective. That for the very same reason that we're speaking about this, it is very important that the original visionary or the leader of that particular ministry continue showing the face of him being a leader or her being the leader, because they are the ultimate custodian of the vision. And they need to give direction to the vision or to the church. And therefore, if you are sitting in your church as an associate pastor, as an assistant pastor, and you are crying for the platform to preach, you must actually reflect and ask yourself, why are you so desperate to preach? Why are you so desperate to be on the pulpit or on the stage? Maybe you'll find an answer. But I must emphasize that it is not necessary, because the leader must show leadership. And some of the leaders who are pastors running churches, sometimes they lose their own essence of leadership in their own church because of forever allocating the assistant pastors to be taking charge and leading, to be taking charge and preaching all the time. And as a result, they themselves cannot shape the direction of their own vision. And that's the reason why churches, some of the churches, you find that they're totally lost in the direction of the vision, whereby nobody knows, because there's a lot of confusion about the vision. Nobody knows where the church is going towards. But I want to emphasize that it is not necessary as an associate pastor to be actually pastoring for platform, for pastoring for a pulpit as well. There are a lot of platforms that you can use yourself, and which will be like open airs outside. Go and preach out there. Create your own stages out there in crusades as well, and win souls. Because remember, all of us are called for the great commission of winning souls. So use the opportunity of winning souls than to be fighting with your own senior pastor about the pulpit and the platform to preach. Because the pastor should lead their vision. They should lead their church. They must be the ones who are actually giving direction in the church that they are leading. And this is very important. And as Church Governance Solution, we emphasize that, and I hope that some associate pastors and assistant pastors are listening to us as we speak this. Very, very important that you take note of that. Now, the first thing today that we want to embark on, which speaks about things that make pastors or cause pastors to lose their real leadership in their churches. One of those is having secret dealings with members. Having secret dealings with members. And this generally, when you've got some secret dealings with members that may not be things that are needed in transparency. They are not actually things that when people will look at, they will be encouraged. I'm talking about some skeletons that you deal with your members. And these are things that are very crucial that may actually destroy your ministry. They destroy also your confidence in leading the church. And we are saying this because there are many pastors that have lost their authenticity. Why? Purely because of secret deals with their members. And now, some of the secret deals, it could be that they're running some corrupt business together. There's those pastors that have actually engaged with their own members in business, And those members in business could be tenderpreneurs who are actually dealing with corrupt dealings of tenders, and whereby a pastor is involved as well. What it does, it actually tarnishes your own authenticity. It actually destroys your integrity as well. Because of that, that disempowers you from taking leadership in the church. And in this regard, you have realized that those that you are in business with, a dodgy business, they'll forever blackmail you. They'll forever hold a word against you, whereby you are not able to lead and control, in the sense that they'll forever say, remember the chicken. They'll forever remind you of your skeletons that are in the cupboard, the things that they know more about you that are not supposed to be in the public. You will be blackmailed all the time. So this is very important. Now, dealings that you have with the members should not be secret dealings, should not be wrong dealings, because if it's wrong dealings, they're going to disempower you. They're going to destroy you at some stage, because the very same members, one day when they're angry, they will actually open up the cupboard. They will always pull those skeletons to the public. And that is actually very dangerous. And I must emphasize that while you find that there are some dirty linens hanged in church, on church lines and so on in the public, sometimes it's because of secret dealings that pastors would have had with some members. And because of that, the skeletons that were in the cupboard have been opened up, and everybody now sees the skeletons. And then the pastor becomes disempowered with leadership, from leadership, and they cannot then take charge and lead, because they're forever afraid they will be exposed. And this is something very dangerous, and I thought we should actually bring it up. The second thing that I want to deal with today that makes pastors lose their own authenticity, that makes them lose their real leadership in their churches, is lack of purpose. And I must speak about lack of purpose just for a moment, because when you've got no purpose, when you've got no vision that's clear and direction, you realize that you'll actually be exhausted with the work, because you will be like pulling a stunt of becoming a religious leader instead of becoming a spiritual leader. Because when you are religious, you are carrying all these burdens, pushing things your own way, and you're not God, you don't have support of the Holy Spirit. So, and that is the reason why Jesus says, bring on your burdens upon me. Don't actually carry your own burdens. Throw your burdens upon me. What does it mean? It means that when I've called you, I've actually empowered you, I will support you, and I will help you to be able to fulfill the vision, not on your own, but through the power of the Holy Spirit. God will lift the burden from your shoulders that makes you feel you cannot carry the ministry anymore. And that we want to emphasize today. That is very important. That when you lack a purpose, or you find that you've lost purpose along the way, please, as I've said earlier, speak to the God that has given you the purpose. Speak to the God that has given you the vision, and consult again. And God will revive your purpose again. And when you've got the purpose, you will be able to run the race and be able to lead again, because you've got purpose ahead of you. There are those pastors that have got a purpose but without a plan. And I must emphasize that plans are very important, because many times leaders are failing because they've got no plan at all of what they want to do and what direction they want to take. When you start to lack a plan, nobody else will actually be able to know where the church is going. And then your leadership will be lost completely. And I've said in the past as well that you will be opening up a gap whereby somebody opportunistic will step in and take opportunity to lead the church or to lead the congregation while you are present, but they're leading because you've opened up a gap of lack of leadership. And therefore, somebody else has actually taken advantage of that. So have a plan. And the plan must be directed to what we call long-term plans. There must be also medium-term plans. There must be short-term plans. And I encourage the pastors as well that you do what we call a year planner as well. Because when there's a year planner, and the year planner is clear to everyone, you are able to lead the people based on the year planner. And that becomes very easy to lead the people when you've got a plan in front of you. Now, the other thing that I want to bring about under this topic is what we call projects as well. When there's a lack of projects in the church, when there's a lack of projects in your leadership, then people don't know what to do. And this is the reason why projects should actually be initiated at every given time. In any church, it must be a project. If you are still renting a place, you might actually have a project of saying, we want to have our own stand. And you acquire your own stand thereafter. The project moves from just acquiring the stand to starting to plan on building. And then make sure that you are having the project of building and make sure that you drive it as well. And while you're finished building as well, there are other projects that you can engage the church, which could be within the line of your calling. For instance, we want then to build an orphanage, or we want now to reach out to the community, to the poor, and make sure that we give hope and help to the poor, and go out there and make sure that you put up this project, which will be continuous all the time. And these projects, when they are there, they're encouraging the people to be able to get involved in the church, and therefore leadership is not lost in that regard. You're forever pointing people to the project, and you'll find that your leadership always becomes relevant amongst these people. The other thing is focus as well. Don't lose focus, because if you lose focus completely, you will actually lose your leadership as well. Because when you don't focus, you will be confusing your own members. And sometimes many pastors lose focus along the way, where they start engaging in politics. Some start engaging in businesses that are deviating them completely away from the focus of the ministry. Some start engaging in other things that are not related to the ministry at all. And I must emphasize that as I'm speaking about this, remember that you may actually have projects that are in line with your own vision. Like, for instance, there's nothing wrong about running a business that is in line with the vision. But when you start to run a business that will be taking you completely out of focus from the ministry, your leadership will be lost. Let's give an example. That if you are now going to chase after tenders, maybe away from the church vicinity, whereby you're getting tenders in the mines somewhere away from where you're staying, and you are going to spend more time there, 3 months away, 4 months away, you've lost focus completely. Now, because of that somebody will step in and take total leadership. And when you come back, you are dubbed redundant, or you are irrelevant, and nobody's going to listen to you again. And I must warn pastors against that. Loss of focus, very, very detrimental to pastors losing their leadership. And sometimes it's not only the loss of focus, but the loss of direction as well. And I've said that when you are a visionary, you've been given a vision, you must always know the direction. And you must keep that direction to make sure that you don't lose direction at all. Because immediately you lose your direction, immediately you lose totally on what God want to do actually in this particular church. And you'll find that everything else that you do is actually just from the mind or what you're thinking, but it's not a direction that you're supposed to be holding. When you've lost direction, there's always confusion as well. And we want to warn you about that. But these are the things that makes pastors lose a real leadership in their own churches. I want to end up here today. This was a wrap for this particular topic. I hope that you've learned something out of this, and you will be able to follow us on our social media platforms, our Facebook page, please, Micornus Phokane, our Facebook page, Church Governance Solutions. So please visit those pages. Make sure that you click notification button. Your life shall never be the same. Life of your church shall never be the same again as well. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Young Men Empowerment Forum, and Micornus Phokane as well. Our TikTok account under Micornus Phokane as well. So those platforms are there for you. And please entertain those platforms. Please click share as well, to share to some people that you may be interested, in listening to us as well. Let the good Lord bless you and allow us to check out here till we meet again with another topic. May the good Lord bless you, and cheers for now.